All right, for this assignment, you are going to do a new file, and that file will be a metric file, a standard millimeter IPT. Just like always, you should use the XY plane, and you will use the line tool. You should start right at the origin. This line needs to be perfectly straight. When it is straight, you get the indication that you have a 0 degree line. You need a 90 degree line coming up for a flat spot. This angle, you can do any angle that you'd like, just so long as it is directly above the origin. And then to finish this shape off, you should look at your cursor and it should go from a yellow center to a green center, like that. Next, you're going to dimension, and if you look at your handout, it'll show you the correct numbers. This number we're going to make 600. Do not be alarmed that it goes off your screen. That's totally normal. If it seems weird to you, you just kind of got to get over it. I'm going to do a zoom window on this back area now. And this dimension, if you look at your handout, is going to be 200. And I'll do another zoom window up on this front. Maybe a little bit further. And this dimension is going to be 75 millimeters. When you do a zoom all, then this is what your final part should look like. Next, I'm going to hit E on my keyboard for extrude, and the distance that I'm going to extrude is 125 millimeters. And this is what your first shape should look like. After this, I'm going to put a rectangle on the front surface, so I'm putting a sketch there. You're going to do what's called a coincident constraint, and that means that you're going to start your rectangle all the way in the corner. That'll be your first click. Dimensioning this, I found that for the width, rather than going from this bottom line, you should go from the top line. That way you'll never accidentally get this entire length of this wedge. So top line, pull it down, and this dimension is 225. Similar thing for height. I'm not going to try to grab it here. I'm going to grab it on this far side and pull it across, and that number should be 75 millimeters. E for extrude again. If you look at your handout, top view, this should be sticking out 25 millimeters. This would be a good time to save. Because saving changes so often, I'm not going to be super specific on where to go. You should have learned that by now. But wherever I've been teaching to save is a good spot. And this assignment I always call the mistake fixer. Leave it as an Inventor part, hit save, and then you'll be able to come back to it later. This is where the assignment kind of takes shape. The goal is for you to understand how does one change a part after you've already created it. Rather than starting over, you'll say, hey, I just want to change a few things. And this little space over here is the key, this toolbar. If ever this toolbar isn't present, you can always get it back up by going to View, User Interface, and that particular one is called the browser. So if you lose that, that's how to get it back. But this, I just think of it as a time capsule. It remembers everything I did to create this part. So if I look at this piece on the side and I say, you know, I need it to be a little bit shorter and stick out further, I can make those changes as long as I remember how I created those. So I'm going to go back to this, and I'm hovering over the word extrusion 2, and on my mouse right now, I'm going to right click. There's two major changes that we make. One of them is an edit sketch. The other one is an edit feature. A sketch is if you want to change the two-dimensional shape you started with. A feature is if you want to change that third dimension, the depth. So I'm going to start with the two-dimensional shape. And basically what happens is this is like that time capsule. I'm going back in time. And there is the original rectangle that I drew. So looking at your handout on the second side now, I am going to change this number to 300, and that dimension is on your front view of your handout. And this number, by double clicking on it, I can type 25, and the updates are made. Common thing that a person would want to do right now, they would want to extrude this, but you can't, because remember, you're editing something that already happened. So to get this to kind of take effect, you need to go up to the top here and you need to click on Finish Sketch. And when I do that, you'll see the update occur. Boom. Okay. Then, if I want this to stick out further, same kind of a thing. I go over to Extrusion 2. I right click on it. This time I want to change depth, so I go to the Edit Feature. And if you check your handout out, look at the top view. 75 is the distance we're looking for. Hit the green check mark, and that's updated. Typically what I'd ask a student to do then is to look at their handout, and your job would be to change this depth on your own by editing either a sketch or a feature. So I'd like you to practice that. Alright, so this would be an example of a finished product. This is what I want to see that you're capable of doing. Being able to make changes to parts is super important. So if you look at this now, this particular part, if I look at it especially from the top view, this depth right here was 75 millimeters. And this depth here used to be 125. And I've just edited it and I've made it 75. So we want these two to be the same depth. And it's easy to see when you're looking at this top view. And if you can do that, that kind of shows that, hey, once you make a mistake, you're designing a CO2 car, you can make the fixes necessary, and that's what we're going for. The other thing I like to see is a little review. So I did a cut. Right now I just, I happen to do text, but you could do a circle, a square, a slot, whatever. I like to see a minimum of 3 additional cuts that go through your part. And I do want to see that you can color the main body and this thingamabob off to the side 2 different colors. They don't necessarily have to be Vikings colors. I just think they look good. So your choice on that. But once you're able to complete this stuff, it makes me confident that you're ready for the next drawing, which is the SpongeBob drawing. Thanks for watching. I guess a little review time in case you need it. Here I am again. So the 2 basic things that we did, again, you can go to any of these. If I didn't like the part that says skull, you can go in and you can edit those features. And say you didn't want it to cut all the way through. Say you wanted a distance and it was just going to cut in a small amount. Those things can be changed. No longer all the way through my part. The yellow thing, you think to yourself, man, those Vikes, they sure need more gold. Right click, edit feature, 750. Updated, so it gets bigger. All these things can change. And let's see here, want it taller, edit sketch. 25, not enough. How about 100? And that can be updated. Click Finish Sketch. So all these different things can be edited, changed as you go. You could even change this first part here, edit sketch. Maybe I want this back end to be a little taller. So I'm going to double click on this. Maybe the number is really 2000. Green check mark, finish sketch. And all these things can change around. So play with this stuff a little bit. The more you do it, the better you're going to get on it. So this time, for real, thanks for watching.